right, at this time we'll call to order the Finance Personnel Committee for October 14, 2025. Amy, roll please.
Alderperson Pere.
Here.
Alderperson Gantz.
Here.
Mayor Boyd.
I'm here.
Alderperson Kundinger. Here. And Alderperson Nelson.
Alderperson Nelson, you want to try that again?
Here.
You're on mute?
Yeah. I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just, as you talk, I'll turn your phone thing up. Thank you. Item 2, approval of the minutes of the September 9th, 2025 regular meeting of the Finance Personnel Committee. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Pere. Discussion or comments? Seems we're all good. That said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to say it up an aye.
Aye.
There it is. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, public comment on matters not on the agenda. Comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Finance and Personnel Committee. Anyone in person or virtually have any public comment on matters not on the agenda? Now is your time. Is everyone here for an agenda item, I'm assuming? I recognize some of our people here. Virtual land, this is up to you now. Second time, any public comment on matters not on the agenda? If so, just state your name. For the last time, public comment on matters not on the agenda. Now is your time. Let's move on. Item 4, consideration and possible action to approve emergency use of unassigned reserves for sanitary sewer line repairs at Legion Pool in the amount of $15,295.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Kundinger, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments? Seems that this will fix that, which is a good thing. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, consideration and possible action to approve funds from unassigned reserves for City Hall generator repairs in the amount of $16,657.14. Before we have a motion, Tom, you want to come on up and give us a bit of good news for tonight? Aside from Jackson Churio's home run.
So with this here, with the repairs, we had a couple panels that were broke. We weren't sure if our insurance would cover it or not. So we asked the insurance company if they would cover it, and I didn't hear nothing, but today we actually got a check from the insurance company of $7,728.04. So they covered everything but our deductible, which was $2,500. So the total that we need right now is going to be $8,929.10 instead of the $16,657.14. Okay, so the amount is less.
That is great news, Tom. Bearer of good news. Everyone that goes to that table has to provide good news like that. Pressure is on.
Hard act to follow.
Just let, oh, you won't come up. No, that'll show me. Very good. Questions, comments?
No.
She does, doesn't she? Well, good. Shannon should feel
Great.
that way. Is everyone good?
Yeah. I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Pere, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Additional discussion or comments other than great job, well done? Alderperson Kundinger.
Just a very generic question, just to level set for anyone who might be wondering. These two agenda items for, what is it, like 24,000 and change, how that, if at all, even really affects the balance of unassigned reserves. It's a very healthy fund, and this is why we have it and to use it, and these are reasonable amounts for the use that we're using them for. So I don't know, does anybody know off the top of their head like how this adjusts our percentage that we go for? It would be so marginal, I know, but I just want it on the record.
Kim, we'll give that to you.
Give me a minute.
She's going to actually give you the exact number, but
Fantastic.
Well, I don't know if I'll be able to get
we
the
know
exact-
percent-wise, we're
But
near
I
the
can give you that.
35%.
I believe per our budget model, we're estimating 37% for year end of this year. But let me see if I can find something a little closer so you can kind of see the
Dollar amount?
an estimated, I will call it a highly estimated impact. 1 second. I did not have this spreadsheet open.
Is that 8 million, 8 million, 7 million? What do you think? Guess.
I feel like we're at 6 million.
Six between 6 and 7? She's
Okay,
gonna
so
get it.
it is fractional usage, which I knew, but I just wanted it
Me too.
stated for the
Oh,
record.
no, that's legend.
Still trying.
Planning and management.
It's such a small percentage, it comes up as 0.
So we are really in a good position with this
Exactly.
unassigned
Like
reserves.
0.3%.
Yep.
Thank you, and that's noted and very well stated. Other comments that we have? All right, looks like we're all good. That said, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, consideration and possible action to approve a 3-year contract with Arctic Wolf in the amount of $25,500. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by me, second by Alderperson P. Rock. So people at home do understand and hear this is for something computer IT related, and is something that Steve Massey, IT Director, thinks would be very beneficial for the organization. Correct? All right. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And Alderperson Nelson, if you have anything, please just jump in if you want to make comments, okay? Item
Yeah,
7.
yeah, will do. Thank you.
You bet. Item 7, consideration and possible action on WI DPH immunization grant awarded to the Health Department in the amount of $8,310.
I'll make a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Very good. We have a motion by Alderperson Gantz, seconded by Alderperson Nelson. Any discussion or comments regarding this grant that is awarded from DPH? All right, that said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, consideration and possible action to amend Sections 2, General Guidelines of Employment, 3, General Policies, 4, Employee Conduct, 6, Compensation, 7, Time Off and Away from Work, 9, Separation and from Employment, and 10, Expenses and Reimbursements of the City of De Pere Employee Policy Manual. Go ahead, Shannon and Tracy.
So we are here with fantastic news.
Oh, good,
that we
very
will be
good start, by the way.
saving
Look at
our-
the judge.
I'm kidding. No, we have a number of different policy changes as we do every year. As things come up, we look at the policy, see if things need to be amended. So we have a number of policy changes that we're recommending. Certainly happy to go through each one if you'd like. I have a feeling you may not want us to do that, so we're certainly open to answering any questions that you may have on any of them that interest you or that you had more questions on.
I mean, is any of those really out of the ordinary or a huge drastic change to what's already in? And so if you want to just, and anyone else, please feel free
No,
to jump in.
that was going to be my question. Anything major?
I mean, I read through it, I'm sure
Say the
everyone did.
biggest one, probably out of the group, is that we, right now, battalion chiefs are exempt level employees. We do not pay any additional pay, meaning they're exempt from Fair Labor Standards Act, meaning they don't receive overtime. Battalion chiefs work a unique schedule within the city. They work a 24-hour on, 24 hours off, 24 hours on. If somebody is out, needs to be off for vacation, sick leave and whatnot, somebody has to fill in. It's not like other exempt employees that can flex their time from week to week or, just take off the next day. So because of that, we have a situation where we think it's in our best interest to at least pay those employees straight time when they have to work those extra shifts, at least not necessarily time and a half because they're not hourly employees. We don't have to pay them overtime, but that we'd like the ability to at least be able to pay them at straight time for those extra shifts that they fill in because it's such a substantial amount of time. And then 2, to encourage them to receive training outside of the workforce day. If they're going to training on a day off, we've had situations where I'm sitting next to an employee, I'm getting paid for that day, and the employee's there just essentially on their off day and not receiving pay, and it just doesn't feel right. So this is something that we've been considering doing for a while and wanted to just make the change in the policy manual. So that's probably the biggest change. The other things are pretty minor changes, some changes to our dress code and some things that you've probably seen before. It's just variations.
Very good, thank you. And I'm sure the chief is happy about the battalion chief thing, and that's come from them as well, too. So that's good news. Does anyone have anything? Alderperson Nelson, anything on any of these?
No, I'm good. I just want to say thank you to Shannon. I think, the city remains a really competitive place to work and really good at attracting really quality people. So just keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you. And they acknowledge thank you as well. Anybody else? All right, I think we're all good on that then. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Hi.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, consideration and possible action to approve 2026 benefit renewal and plan design changes. Go back to the same two then.
Always good news.
Yes.
I'll start out. For our benefit renewal for 2026, we've been actively working on changes for this last year, so we're happy to bring the changes forward for you for approval. Our health insurance plan, we're looking at a 10% increase for 2026. And although that's a higher amount than we'd like to do, if you remember 3-4 years ago, I keep wanting to remind people, we had a 0% increases. We had definitely some years where we had a significant decrease in premiums. So although we're doing a 10% next year, we were looking back and even back 10 years ago, back to 2016. If we can compare our premiums back 2016 to where they'll be in 2026, that's only a 3.74% increase over 10 years. So pretty flat growth for our health insurance, which we're very proud of. It's less than a 0.5% increase per year. So although next year is going to be hit a little harder, and last year we had a 10% as well, it's very flat. So we're still very happy with how the health plan is trending. One program that is new that we'll be implementing for 2026 is called Garner Reimbursement Plan. It's probably a bigger change that we've made to one of our benefit plans in some years, but it required us to kind of look at a new strategy to keep our plan and cost, or in line with the costs. So what that plan looks like is that we would highly incentivize our members to go into top quality, cost-efficient providers, like best-in-class providers, whether it be at Aurora or St. Vincent, St. Mary's, any of the provider groups. Garner, this company, evaluates all the different providers and finds the best-in-class. Not necessarily just looking at what they cost overall, but looking at how efficient they are with the procedures they do. So in essence, they cost the plan less money overall because they have less complications, et cetera. They're really good at what they do. So what we would do with our plan, the way we would structure it, is we would increase our deductibles and increase our co-insurance for members. But if members would then use a Garner provider that is recognized as being a top in class, the member then would have ability to have a reduced deductible up to $500 per year. So it's kind of that little carrot that if you're willing to be a good consumer and you go to a top quality provider, you pay less than you currently pay. Certainly, the plan would be set up that if you choose not to go to a top quality provider and you choose to maybe stay with somebody else, then you would then have to pay at a higher rate because it is going to cost our plan more money overall. So members still have the option, which is great. I love different programs that we can put in place, give people the option, but if they so choose the better option, that will save the city money in the end and save our plan cost or a significant amount of money. We're looking at about a 20% savings by implementing Garner. They would then be able to see the reward and members would pay less for that. So
Is Garner a standalone company? Because I was reading this, trying to figure this out.
it is a standalone company.
Wow.
They for many years, when groups years ago went to high deductible health plans, right? It's like, okay, be a good consumer. Everybody said, be a good consumer. Well, we didn't, industry-wide, people didn't know how to be good consumers. They'd go shop for top quality providers that are going to be low cost, but we didn't really provide them the tools in which they can do that. Companies like Garner have figured it out how to really do that in an efficient way that doesn't take a whole lot of shopping around for members. They go to a website, you type in, I need to have a knee replacement. Here's the top providers that are in this group. They're rated and really top best of class, and you go to any one of those providers, and then you get a reimbursement check through Garner.
Wow,
So,
that's great.
yeah, so we're excited about that.
Alderperson Nelson.
I wasn't sure if I was on mute or not, but just had a question, Shannon. Is access a part of that Garner system? I'm just curious because I think I love the idea of kind of the best in class, but I think one of the biggest problems is just accessing healthcare providers right now. Is that built into it so that there's, I just imagine like if these are the best of class physicians, how, are they accepting, is there room to get new patients, or kind of
Yes, certainly good question. It's one question that we've asked. So
Do you want to kind of say that question again, just so we can?
sure, I think Alderperson Nelson was asking, is there still ability for members to get into these? If everybody's going to top quality providers, is there any ability where you're not going to be able to get in for their services? And certainly a good question. So any one type of procedure or reason that somebody would need to get into the provider, there's 20% of those providers that would be available. So there's a big grouping of them, because that was my concern. You're going to be looking for a new heart valve, and there's only 3 providers, and their wait list is 6 months long. And I think that's what your question is, correct? Yes. So they've assured us that certainly they're not running into those issues. I mean, I'm sure there's some physicians that are just, maybe the Packer doctor or whatnot, where people are willing to wait longer to get into because of just the demand. But there's still a lot of offerings for each type of service. So it's not like there's only 1 or 2 providers.
Cool, then. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Who's up there? Did they want to speak up there? What I know.
Shannon.
Yes. Oh, I will introduce.
Shannon, do you want me to just hop in?
She's going to do that right now. Yeah.
I'm going to introduce. This is Beck. She is one of the insurance brokers with M3 Insurance that we partner with.
Okay.
So she's online. So certainly, Beck, if you want to speak up, please do so.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. I think the other important consideration to answer the question posed is the providers are always in network, and the recommended providers in the Garner recommendation are always accepting new patients. So within that top 20%, they have to be in network and they have to be accepting new patients in order to be recommended to your members.
Gotcha. Thank you. That makes sense. Yeah, it's still kind of built into the formula, right? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Beck.
Thank you.
Any more questions on Garner? Okay, I'll try to be quicker with the other benefits because I know there's a long list.
That's fine.
So just high level specialty services, and I can certainly go back, but big picture, we're just looking to go back to a current structure we previously had with specialty services where members pay deductible co-insurance. We've seen some doctors do a lot of creative things in an office visit, which is great, but some of those costs we've seen are pretty hefty. So rather than the member pay just a $40 copay for our specialty inpatient, or not inpatient, but a doctor's visit, we're looking at that the member would be responsible for deductible co-insurance. Sometimes they're doing mini services or mini surgeries in a doctor's visit, which really wasn't the intent by just having members pay a copay. So certainly I'm willing to answer questions on that, but I'll just keep rolling and stop me if anybody has any questions. Stop loss, we go out for stop loss providers every year because it's a very costly insurance plan that we pay. We're self-insured up to $130,000, and anything above for any one member, if they have claims that hit above $130,000, then we're insured for that. So we just went out and looked at different provider groups, found that our current provider is offering the best service going forward.
Some years we had to utilize that quite heavily, correct?
We did, absolutely. And I know our broker groups really push heavily on stop loss. It's one of the last things, renewals that we get in. Actually, I just signed something today on it, so it's last minute, but we pay a hefty price for it, but it's so needed for a group our size, because else we're going to have our plan, we could be responsible for a $2 million claim in 1 month, and that will kill our plan. So it's really important we have a program like that. A lot of you have probably heard of direct primary care. We have a direct primary care agreement right now with Bellin and Prevea. Prevea, unfortunately, is changing. They're no longer going to offer their direct primary care structure that they have set up for this year. It's essentially, right now, if members go in for primary care visit, urgent care, physical therapy, it's at no cost to the member. We'll still offer it through Bellin because they're offering it at a discount for members. However, Prevea is changing their structure, their program. They're no longer offering the direct primary care program the way it's set up right now for next year for any employer. They're still going to offer it, but it's going to look different. You have to go to one specific facility, and they have one place in Green Bay that members can go into. So it's unfortunate, but they're not completely eliminating the program. It's just certainly going to look different for next year. Ambulatory center, if you recall, a few years ago, that nice new building on Shawano Avenue that Pere built, that's an ambulatory center. It's essentially they offer surgeries that are less complicated at the ambulatory center, which then certainly is billed as an ambulatory rate versus hospital rate. So obviously it costs the city a lot less money on our health plan. So we're trying to incentivize members when they can, when their provider is willing to do a surgery or procedure at an ambulatory center versus the hospital, then we would waive the co-insurance cost. So once an employee reaches their deductible, there's no cost per member. So again, kind of that carrot approach, just to be better consumers overall. Let's see, Prudent RX, it's just a specialty medication change. We currently have 7 members that are on specialty medicines. It's, it doesn't come up that often, but they're very, very pricey. So we're incentivizing those employees if they work with this Prudent RX company, which then would bring down the cost of our specialty drugs. There would be $0 cost for members. Right now they have ability to pay up to $350 per prescription, and this would eliminate the cost completely for the member. So highly incentivized, again, kind of that carrot approach again for those specialty drugs. Dental, we have 2 different dental plans, one fully insured, and then one self-insured. The self-insured one will go up 5% for next year, just making some pretty minor changes to the dental plan, porcelain crown coverings, and then offering special needs coverage for so we have more cleanings for some individuals that there might be a need for anesthesia when necessary for procedures, but very minor changes on the dental side. And then lastly, our wellness plan. So since 2012, as part of our wellness plan, one small component of it is that we offer employees, not members, employees, a discounted rate if they participate in any city-sponsored event, like any of our exercise programs that are offered at like the community center, or like their kids are in swim lessons or anything like that, just to, show them that we certainly pride ourselves in our wellness program. We want employees to participate. We're looking to expand that slightly to offering pool passes at a discounted rate, as well as park shelters and community shelters, with the exception of Nelson Pavilion, because it's always rented, which is awesome. We want the community to be able to, certainly rent it out. But we would then offer right now the incentive is a 25% discount. We're looking at changing it to a 20% discount, only because to stay in line with the tax requirements, then we would not have to tax the employees on that benefit. Anticipate, very little impact to the budget whatsoever, because there's very few people that participate, but we just want to show people that we, certainly want to see them participating in our programs when they can. So that's it in a nutshell. Certainly happy to take any questions.
Very good, thank you. Questions or comments? Before that, I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 benefit renewal and plan design changes.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Conacher. Discussion or comments? I think it's important for residents to realize this is a very complicated, labor-intensive process going through the insurance, and you guys do a great job with this, and I'm sure the employees do as well, always looking out for their benefit. Alderperson Nelson, do you have anything?
No, I was just preparing to get ready to vote, but I don't miss it this time.
I think it's good, right? Okay, thank you. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Did you hear him? Mm-hmm. Did you say aye? Okay. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy, Shannon. Item 10, consideration and possible action on approval of the Paramedic Reimbursement Program held over from the August 12th, 2025 meeting. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Do you want to make any comments regarding this, Chief Jansen?
Yeah, this is just a good program that we're to try to implement to bring more quality people into the fire service. We've been seeing a huge decline of actual paramedic applicants, a lot of firefighter EMT basics. That's the basic medical certification you can have coming to the city, We get a lot of our POPs that come in at that level, and it's just harder for them to get their paramedic once they're starting working and they come out of school. So we want to offer a reimbursement program, and what that would do would allow us to bring on some of these members or some of these basic level members that are in paramedic school but don't have their paramedic yet. We would allow them to start work full-time with us. When they are on duty, they would get to go to class, then come back and finish their shift. Once they get through schooling, which runs from June to April, once they're finished with their schooling and they pass their paramedic certification, we would offer to reimburse their tuition for the schooling. Once we do that, they would have a contingent offer that would say if they leave within 3 years of getting that repayment back, that they would have to repay that back to the city. This is in line with a lot of other departments that have implemented this over the past couple of years that we've lost some young members too, because they get their paramedic paid for. This is one way we can keep those members that we are sticking a lot of time and effort into that want to work for us, and this gives them that little bit of an advantage. The cool thing about it is we get funding assistance from the state of Wisconsin every year, and that funding assistance allows us to use it on education and reimbursement in these programs. So we do have a few members that may qualify for this program, and we do have the funding sitting that we do receive from the state to kind of reimburse these members at that time. So the funding's there. It'll allow us to keep building this progression that we have of good quality people, keep putting the time and effort into them, and give them a little bit at the end to say, hey, thanks for working for the city of De Pere. Plus, they sign that contract that kind of keeps them locked in with working with us, so they can't just get hired and go somewhere else. So,
Very good, thank you. Another example of all of our departments are looking for ways to always attract employees, hire employees, and then retain employees. So this is very creative, and hopefully this is successful and works, because that's the ever-going challenge that I think everyone's facing, but this organization is meeting it head on, and we appreciate that effort. Questions, comments? All right, Chief, thank you. That said, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11, consideration and possible action to approve the side letter of agreement with the De Pere Professional Firefighters Association regarding overtime incentives. Does someone want to talk to this before we vote on that? Who wants it, Chief or Shannon?
I can talk to it. So, a year ago, we started a rotational overtime process where it allowed, before ordering members, the bottom 12 our line would be ordered in a rotational process. So we do overtime in two ways. It's either voluntarily, if they don't voluntarily take the overtime, they get ordered in. We order in people because we mandate a certain level of service all the time, so we have to keep a certain level of personnel all the time, so we'd have to order them in. What we had been doing previously is always ordering the youngest guy in. Well, that is a huge burden on that one person, and we've had 3 members leave because of that. So we wanted to change the process to have the bottom 12 members. It would rotate, so they'd be ordered in once, it'd rotate to the next person. So we've had a lot of overtime because have been short-staffed. So we've been seeing this rotation go very quickly. It's a burden on our members, it's a burden on their families. So talking with them on how we can improve that ordering process is offer an incentive for those bottom 12. If they electively volunteer to take that overtime, they would move through the list. So if they took the overtime because they knew they were up for ordering, they could actually take an overtime, move to the bottom of the list, so then they could plan it out better with their families rather than be ordered in the morning of or the day before and then their wives are calling in sick for them to work the order in. So this would allow them to really schedule out their overtime and kind of award them for taking that. So there's a couple other departments in the state that do this, and their order-ins are almost zero now, which is what we're getting to. And we're looking at for our personnel's well-being, plus their families too, that we're not putting burdens on their families also. So this program would allow that rotation to work a little bit better by incentivizing people to take it rather than just waiting until they got ordered in. So.
Very good, thank you. Shannon?
Yeah, and I just want to mention, if you recall, we just recently signed a labor contract for 22 through 24, 24 and then 25 through 26, or I could be off on those. But anyways, our contract is settled through end of 2026. Normally, we wouldn't be bringing up changes to the contract mid-year. However, this is a slight change. We actually did change some language in the contract about overtime, and it's generally working pretty well. This is a kind of a slight nuance change, just kind of clarifying interpretation of it. So that's the reason it's coming as a one-off, if you were wondering. So hopefully you shouldn't be seeing any contract changes until we start negotiating sometime next year for 2027.
And it's good news that the firefighters union and the city leadership have both signed off on this and just kind of waiting on us. So I'm not sure we want to get in the way of that. Sounds like it's hopefully will help. Yeah, that's the whole idea. I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz, to approve the side letter of agreement regarding overtime incentives. Additional discussion or comments? Again, very good solution. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12, consideration and possible action of a redevelopment request for proposals for parcel WD 376, generally known as 360 Main Avenue. Quayson and Dan will give us some overview on this before we take any action.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to bring to your attention here, this is parcel WD 376, which is generally known as 360 Main Avenue. Just a little bit of history. Back in 2020, the council authorized the city staff to acquire the parcel, purchase the parcel in May. But then also we were looking to go to RFP in the past for redevelopment of this site, but one of the focuses was to incorporate like workforce housing with that. But after talking with some folks at WIDA and also some multifamily developers.
Just go full screen on PowerPoint.
There you go. Thank you. So just talking with other multifamily developers and developers who do low-income housing tax credits or workforce housing tax credits with WIDA, they felt that this would be a very small parcel, a very small project, and probably would not qualify for the tax credits. So we've talked to numerous developers over the past couple of years regarding this. So now we wanted to come back to Finance and Personnel just for a discussion and looking forward to sending their request for proposal back out, but this time just looking more for like a mixed use portion to that development, taking out the affordable housing requirement for that. We've been working with other developers throughout the city, finding other parcels and stuff for them to do larger tax credit projects that may qualify on that scale. But this, going back to the 360 Main Avenue, here we're just looking to do a standard RFP for mixed-use development on this site here.
And you had some thoughts and ideas, I think, that were within the memo that we're kind of aiming for, but not necessarily limited to, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to, quite a few developers in the area. And with the mixed use, we're definitely looking for a couple floors of residential, but also ground floor retail, ground floor commercial. Maybe even like a restaurant, brew pub. Those are some of the ideas that came about when we've talked to other developers regarding this. We have a list of developers that we are going to immediately send this out to, and we'll put it on the standard Wisconsin APA website. We'll go out to NAIOP and some of the other commercial real estate brokers and websites that we've worked with in the past as well.
Great, that sounds good. Yep. Dan, do you have something to add?
Yeah, just the last time that the committee saw this, and this was before Quayson's time, so I appreciate Quayson sort of taking this one on here, was when we couldn't find a developer to take on the affordable component because it just didn't meet muster for their purposes, the Finance and Personnel Committee asked us to take a look at what if we're the developer? And again, one of those exercises that we wanted to evaluate. Because knowing the fact that as a developer, we wanted to provide affordable housing, we wouldn't have to make any money on it. Again, that is competing with the private sector. But even knowing that, when I did the numbers out, we would have been at a money loss in this situation because the cost of construction, the underground parking that would have been required, or at least platformed parking below, not having the, I guess you'd say, density of units, the max units you could probably fit on this site at 4 or 5 stories is about 17 units. It's actually a very, very similar site to what almost was at 123 North Broadway in 2020. So you could take that model, almost extrapolate that forward with where price increases have gone over the past few years, and you're looking at about $11-12 million building for those units, and that at that point, from a workforce and affordable housing standpoint, doesn't pencil out. So it didn't even work from a TID perspective if we were to do it completely that way. So that's the reason why we're requesting to go out from a market standpoint, because that way market rents and market rates can be approached. We are under no mirage that this isn't going to request TIF assistance just to even make this work because of the small number of units potentially involved in this. So whatever we come back with and we see, we'll definitely be excited to bring something forward, hopefully in the near future, depending on the results.
Very good. Yeah, this has languished for a while. Obviously it's a charge by us and everyone to try to address affordable and workforce housing. This just didn't work, and sometimes it just doesn't. But the fact that they did mention, or it is mentioned, that you're searching for other locations to satisfy that, because that is a priority for us, and we'll try to do what we can. But to sit on a property and have nothing doesn't accomplish anything.
And if I could provide one last little comment for anybody listening, we saw at last month or earlier this month's a council meeting, Phoenix of De Pere, incorporating 20% workforce housing in a total project that 160 some odd units in. In order to make that work, there needed to be a quantity of scale that before you could do a portion of affordable housing. When you only have 15 to 20 units and you try to do the majority of those as workforce, it just doesn't work from that standpoint, and we would have been at a money loss situation.
Totally understand. I'll make a motion to approve the, I guess I'll call it new RFP, and forward the RFP to Common Council for action. Is that okay with the motion? Or more specific?
Think we were, did we have it as going to?
Well, it says recommend.
Yeah, it was, okay. In this case, because the council evaluated us last time, we wanted to bring this forward, so.
So you're okay with that then? Okay.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. You kind of were first. Any other questions or comments? Hopefully we get something from this. Alderperson Nelson, anything?
No, nope, I'm good.
Very good. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 13, consideration and possible action on sale agreement terms with Soft Light Photography LLC for the purchase of parcel ED 2384 for the development of the 7,250 square foot photography studio for the purchase price of $59,500. Who wants to take this? Dan or Quayson to introduce this? And I'm sure someone wants to talk about it too. Go ahead.
Sure. Yes. We were approached by Lisa Pere of Shorewest Realty on behalf of Soft Light Photography. They are looking to purchase a vacant lot in our East Industrial Business Park here. You see it with the star there on Destiny Drive and Profit Place there. To construct roughly about a 7,200 square foot building to use for a photography studio. So this is one of the parcels that, so it's roughly about 1.2 acres for 50,000. So we're looking at 59,000 with this. Anticipated construction costs looking to be about 1.4 million with this. And the only, so talking with legal, we have a couple of things that we're definitely looking at. One with a broker looking to pay a commission of 3% of the sale price. And then also that the project be built and obtain occupancy within 1 year. That would be one of the stipulations that we are looking at here.
Very good, thank you. I think the applicant might want to say something, just at least to explain who you are, which is great. But I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Assuming you're the owner, can you give us your name and address? And maybe just explain just a touch about what you want to do.
Hi, my name is Temel Yaşar. I'm a photographer, a full-time photographer. We moved to Green Bay last year from Rhinelander. So I've been doing photography there for about 5-6 years, right before COVID. So we moved to De Pere, and I want to move my business here. I'm already shooting here, just I need a studio. So this building will provide a very nice place for all kinds of photography needs in De Pere area.
Well, that is great. First, welcome to De Pere. Glad you selected De Pere. Some of us were there in that area today for an unrelated tour and got to see the site, so we're very excited. So we'll see what happens from here, but thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll make them. Are you all good then? Anything else you want to say, or do you want to?
Do you have any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Alderperson Gantz.
Because I do photography, what kind of particular photography are you doing?
So my bread and butter is family pictures, high school seniors, branding, and business headshots. But I do also weddings, newborns, and what else? Yeah, I think that's about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't do wildlife.
Don't do wildlife.
I don't do wildlife.
Well, good thing you're in the
you gotta
business
go out in the very early in the morning, so I'm not a morning person.
Wow. Look where you're from Rhinelander, aren't you?
Yeah, I stayed inside, so that's why I'm building this.
Oh my
I don't want to go outside.
goodness. All right. Well, that's very good. Other questions or comments while we have it open? All right, I'll make a motion to go back to regular session.
Second.
Motion by me, second by Alderperson P-Rock. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're back in regular session. Do you two have anything else to add? Probably not, huh?
No.
I'm trying to get back to what we need the motion on here for, if anyone else knows what they want to do.
Thank you.
For it. Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the sale of parcel ED 2384 to Soft Light Photography.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. And again, based on the following conditions, and I'm sure the seconder agrees with that as well. Additional discussion or comments, or anything else we need from you two out there? All good? No. Very good. That said, and this does go to council then, so this isn't the
Yes.
final show, but it's pretty good. That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Step one, looking good. Thanks for coming in and sticking around. All right, that said, item 14, review and discussion of the 2024 Annual Tax Increment District TID summaries.
All right, we in for a riveting
Can't wait.
time here.
Yeah, anyone here doesn't have to be here, now's your time to leave.
All right.
Say that nice enough, or?
One of 78.
Yeah, don't worry, we're not going through all that. Those are there in case there's questions.
Look at the crowd, just look at it.
That I don't fault anybody. This is the stuff that.
Oh, yeah, we're all in. Yeah.
All right. So in front of us tonight is, I know it says 2024, but the reason why that is it takes about 6 months to accumulate all the information necessary to prepare the 2024 information. But in this case, Pam and I and the state went through a variety of other resources to make sure that we create the best and most accurate picture moving forward. And just some of the public information that comes out in August and September. So it's unfortunate, but we try to paint the best picture, because otherwise, if I give this report in July, it's already 1 month later, it's already out of date. And so I'm trying to provide the most accurate information, hence the reason why we delayed a little bit. So with that, tonight here, I am available to just stop me in the middle of anything here. I'm going to try to keep it brief, but still provide enough information to those that want to know about each TID. So while there is 70 some odd slides, I will fly through it and stop on specific ones to go through. So what we'll go through here tonight, actually hand me the keyboard there. It's easier to use the keyboard than the mouse. Is I can go through the brief overview of a tax incremental district. And now we have some elders in here, but we also have a student who probably has heard the terminology tax increment district before. But in other words, the tax increment district and tax increment tax increment is our biggest tool that we have in the community from an economic development perspective. It allows us to leverage against future developments to help encourage growth. And so we've sort of all seen this summary chart before, but if I can give you one bullet point, it's the rising tides raises all boats. And so the overlapping taxing jurisdictions charge the local municipalities with economic development in the hopes that when the district closes, we're all better for it. So I can touch on any of what that means. But as we go through our annual TID summaries, we take a whole look at a multitude of assumptions that we put into these models. And any number one of these assumptions can change the models moving forward. So we try to take the best approach that we can So I work heavily with Pam to start putting some assumptions moving forward and also taking a look back at where we've been over the past few years to kind of make some projections and trends. So our assumptions moving forward is we always look at the assessment ratio, and we know at Pere we try to stay at that assessment ratio of 100% by doing our annual reassessments. What that does for us is it kind of levels our projections moving forward, meaning I roughly know where we're going. If we were to wait through 2, 3, 4 years, these assumptions are going to go up and down based off of where those are. So I appreciate us going on an annual basis. It does project some mill rate changes on an annual basis, but it allows me to at least take our assessment ratios moving forward. We take a look at the tools provided to us from the state, from an extension standpoint, from an affordable housing standpoint, from a standard extension standpoint, and also from what's known as a technical college standpoint. And so we look at which one of these TIDs are going to require us to do a technical college extension. And where that comes in play is 2014, the state changed how technical colleges are funded. And therefore, they more or less cut the local side of it 50%, which dropped the technical college mill rate 50%. So it's provided that you can prove that that impacts your TIDs, you potentially can use that for a 3-year extension. It's only for TIDs created prior to 2014. So that's TIDs 1 through 12 for us, or sorry, 7 through 12 for us now at this point. We also took a look last year. Personal property was taken off in the state of Wisconsin. So as a result, that severely impacted several of our TIDs. So we went through a reevaluation process for those TIDs that were impacted, 7 through 13. So you can see where our base certified revalue came in play. And so that took a lot of reconfiguration of these models because what we were showing for projected value growth was impacted. They took away the base value of personal property, but we lost the increment value of personal property that happened over that time. So we did lose increment. So we did save base, but we lost increment in some of those TIDs. So it's important to know that. And then we take a look at our general mill rate reductions. And if you see any slides on here where there's red, that's where I've changed the number from your report, because as I was going through here at a 70-page report, sometimes I miss some of those numbers, so I apologize. But we took a look at our mill rate reductions over time, and so you can see where our mill rate reductions have happened. Pretty significant since 2014. Now, this year we maybe level out from the city's perspective, but if our overlapping jurisdictions, the school district, technical college, and the county continue to drop, we potentially could see that mill rate drop again. And so how does that impact the TIDs is every value dollar that we've grown, it potentially is less dollars because we're charging less on an incentive or on a mill rate basis. So our incentives are changed, our infrastructure opportunities to provide infrastructure have changed. All that changes with mill rate reductions. And so we're hope that the balance of assessed value increases matches mill rate, but every TID's different, and so it's hard to kind of push that forward. But we take a look at how that impacts on an annual basis. And then we take a look at where can we move forward with. And the state allows us 12% of our equalized value.
Dan, really quick, I mean, you mentioned mill rate. Just explain what a mill rate is and how that, because going down is not a good thing.
It is for taxpayers.
Right, but for your world, because you always mention that. So
yes.
You've got the ebb and flow of the mill rate.
Yeah, so mill rates being the rate in which a property that has an assessed value is being taxed. And I'm going to be very high level with it. Right in 10 years ago, our mill rate was about $21 per thousand, meaning every $1,000 of assessed value, the combined mill rate of the overlapping jurisdictions was about $21 per thousand. Now we're at about $15 per thousand. So if our assessed values didn't grow at a rate equal to that reduction, we potentially have less revenue projected moving forward. So from an overall taxpayer standpoint, while their rates may be going down and they could be paying less or they could be paying equal, the overall cost of goods is not going down, so we're potentially not keeping up with the cost of goods and the cost of products and the cost of incentives. So overall, while it's good for the taxpayers, potentially for the tax increment districts, it's not as good if you're not seeing a new increment growth keep up with that pace. So.
Thanks. Now people understand your constant tug of war going on in your head.
Yeah,
so,
it's heartburn in me. So, but as I mentioned, the state allows us to have 12% of our increment or 12% of our equalized value be in what is known as increment or the growth of a TID. And so we are inching closer and closer to that one because our TIDs have been very successful. We're at just under 11%, meaning we can create probably a new TID in the next year to year and a half. But until the state changes that 11 to maybe 15, which they are trying to do, we are potentially going to be hampered by creating new TIDs in the future. So we could be limited in our toolbox if we inch over that 12%. And where that comes in play is Southern Bridge. Is we will see an increment drop when we close TID 8 in a year, but we potentially could really be up to our ceiling and encouraging Southern Bridge growth on the southeast side. So we're going to be watching that on a frequently basis to make sure that we can continue to move forward with economic development post Southern Bridge. And so you can see where our growth has been. And you see that one gigantic orange line that supersedes everybody. That is TID 12. And so that is tremendous growth that we've had over the past few years in our business park, Southern Ridge area, primarily around Green Bay Packaging, Georgia Pacific, Infinity Machine. We have great investments by those businesses that have really helped that. But also Garrity's Glen South Subdivision is also part of that one. So that's a mixed use TID, and we can touch base on that as we go. But overall, our TIDs are relatively growing, some at a higher pace than others. But we can go through those. So I'll start on the west side, and each one of our TIDs, I have a summary map, basic information. I have where we've gone. This is all in your packet. I won't need to go through it in general. But really what I'll come down to is I'll sort of get through the recommendations of each one, and then also the how it impacts the overlap potentially when it closes. And so moving forward as we go through here, I want to say that from a property appreciation standpoint, all of our models are roughly the same, meaning if it's in a mixed use TID, we're seeing either a 4 or 6% property appreciation average over time and a mill rate reduction of 2% reduction over time. Again, that's average because over a 20-year TID, we may see that growth and we may see up change, we may see a market stagnation. Again, we're showing averages. However, I am showing in this model that we, for the first time, showing that we're stopping or having a floor of $11 per thousand. We can't continue to go down. It just, the models just don't work that way. And so I think, Kim, when you and I talked about it, realistically, there will probably be a market correction at some point, which will slow our mill rate reductions down. And so we've placed a floor at $11 per thousand in all of our TIDs. And if it reaches that, you'll see that. But with that, those are our assumptions moving forward. The reason why we've placed those assumptions there is because that's where we've roughly seen things go. From an industrial standpoint, we're a little bit more conservative because that's where the state's been. We don't do, it's not locally assessed. Our industrial parks are commercially assessed at the state, and those have a slightly smaller appreciation rate than what we've seen in the downtown and commercial sectors. So those are our assumptions moving forward. And as we talk about the TIDs, we're looking at TID 8 here in this first one, which is known as, I guess you'd say, the previous Humana campus. It's been overlaid by TID 15. But in general, we've extended this TID in July for 1 year of affordable housing to capture about $300,000 to $400,000 worth of increment for affordable housing. And then following that of this year's revenue, next year's revenue will be our last year's of collections, and then we will close the TID after that. So the increase will then go on the tax rolls in 2027. So what we anticipate is about a 50% share of that collection. So TID 8's closure is $324,000. Our share of that roughly is going to be about $60,000 to $70,000, depending on where mill rates fall during that time. So that's where our potential share could be from a levy increase standpoint. That's where we get to keep that as part of our levy increase. TID 9 is our west downtown TID. It was a previously replaced TID 5, which we closed several years ago, and so you can see the boundary shaped there. Primarily around the Main Avenue corridor, but does include the 300 block of North 300 block of Reed Street and a couple other properties on Reed Street, but primarily it's around the Main Avenue corridor. We have quite a few years of life left into this one. We did see some actual negative reductions in this one, and again, that's because of some property reevaluations and some other components that are outside of our control. We haven't seen a lot of growth inside of this TID since the Cobblestone Hotel. Cobblestone is starting to work its way through it, and Cobblestone is below their guaranteed minimum value, but they are making pilot payments. So in this case, with those pilot payments being made, UNEXion's having actual revenue growth that you're not seeing in just an assessed value growth. So moving forward, some projects that we're seeing, we're expected to see several on North 400 block of Main Avenue, plus also potentially the 300 block of Reed Street over the next few years. Those are our assumptions moving forward. The TID's going to be in the red for a while. We anticipate that to be the case, and if we're providing more incentives to projects because they need it, we're going to be in the red. But we do anticipate with what we're showing here and some of our pay-go agreements and some additional incentives, we're potentially closing on time in this one. It's not a guaranteed, because you can see there's a lot of red and it's paying off itself in the back end, which is what a lot of redevelopment TIDs do, but we're projected to see that one. So our recommendations are very similar to a lot of them, which are we just need to be monitoring this on an annual basis, making sure that the allocations that we're putting towards this TID, because it is a challenging TID, a redevelopment TID, are for the TID purposes. We are providing pay-go incentives more than we are providing cash grants, if it's possible, but it may not always be possible. Conduct our audits on an annual basis or biannual basis, because it will help us keep a more accurate picture. And then if it can't pay itself off, the general fund will ultimately have to pay itself off. But in this case, we do have the standard 3-year extension and the 3-year technical college extension available to us if necessary. But if it does close based off of our projections, our actual growth is pretty significant. You can potentially see a $430,000 levy based off of that 50% threshold for us. So a lot of positive growth over time, but it is really hinged on those other developments happening. North 400 block of Main Avenue and the North 300 block of Reed Street, where we have to be pretty aggressive in encouraging redevelopment, and there are opportunities for it.
By the way, this one right here, it should be noted that the city does a lot of labor-intensive work on these TIDs, and there are other beneficiaries of this that don't put as much into it. I don't mean that in a bad way, but look how they benefit from the TIDs.
In every one of these, you'll see this chart that sort of meets the same. You'll look at, based off of the current percentages of the mill rate breakdown, you can see roughly where the county is, where the school district growth is, and where the technical college is. They get to keep from a levy increase 100% of that growth, where we only get 50%.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and if it's anything created after October last year,
10%.
10%.
Yeah, so we're really happy about that.
Yeah. So, all right. Any questions so far on TID 8 or 9? Nope. TID 11 is a replacement of TID 6 that was terminated in 2021 but used for affordable housing extension. Mixed use TID, we got about 10 years of left of life. It was created in 2015. We are seeing a significant level of growth in this one. So actual growth is about $23 million, and a lot of that comes down to partial EDL packaging, partial of Walter at the time, and we also seen some growth in Wash World. We saw that growth, as well as Honeysuckle Acres 4th edition also is part of that one, and that growth also contributed towards that $23 million. So we do expect more growth in that one, because it'll be a full Walter assessment and full EDL packaging assessment in 2025. So I do have in the packet where you can see where our current TID value is at the end of 2024, but we already have the 2025 values out. So we went from 81,000 to 98,000. So you saw about another $18 million worth of value growth in TID 11. So moving forward, our projections moving forward are going to primarily be around the Southern Bridge expenses. So we are going to try to be as aggressive as possible in Southern Bridge, but try to do as much of it with cash as possible, because that allows us to save money and interest. And so Pam and I are working hand in hand on the Southern Bridge funding, but we're trying to do as much as we can. Potentially, based off of call dates, we could potentially close early in TID 11 if possible. But again, it's moving forward with how much can we do Southern Bridge, how much are we able to do with Southern Bridge, and so in the future, hopefully see some agreement amendments with Brown County to help fund more of this. So moving forward, about $500,000 for TID value growth upon closure. So, any questions on 11?
No.
I feel like we should have more of a reaction for the ones that are in the black, but I'm trying to hold it.
Okay, well, the next one you can have great reactions for, because it's our powerhouse. All right, TID 12, just to the south of this one. Again, it was an overlay of TID 6 at the time. But again, primarily around the Georgia Pacific warehouse, the Green Bay packaging, Infinity Machine, and a couple others. We'll actually be amending this TID later this year to include the turf property from our annexation purposes, as well as to for the Badgerland supply that we worked towards last year as well. So this one was created on the same day as TID 11, but it's got about 10 years of life left in it at this time. So this one, at the end of 24, we're at $163 million worth of total value. When we had a base value of about $23 million, you're looking at some significant growth from an increment growth standpoint. Where we are at the end of, we're already, so we went from 163, and then the total TID value is 191. So again, we saw some major growth over the past year that will roll into these models here. So moving forward, some of the things that we're anticipating moving forward is going to be the impact of the turf property, the impact of Green Bay Packaging with a potential future expansion, Infinity Machine with an expansion. We're projecting those in the next few years. We've pushed them out a couple of years, but anticipating those values growth moving forward. So in this case, depending on how Southern Bridge lays out, trying to fund as much of Southern Bridge as we can with this TID, because if you can see over here, we have a potential surplus of $18 million, which means the state's going to make us close it early when we can. So as much debt as we can take on for Southern Bridge in TID 12 sooner than later will help us know the extent of this TID and as we move forward and keep it open as much as possible. What I'm also showing in here is also potential donation to TID number 9, because it's in a positive state like this one. We can use this as a TID to start to donate to the downtown, west side of downtown, and keep that moving forward so that we can potentially pay off TID 9 a little sooner as well. So
This is a powerhouse.
yeah.
Yay.
Go to 12.
Yes.
I'm on the TID 12 bandwagon.
Moving forward, this one potentially, and again, this one really comes down to where are we going to be with overall value growth. But you can see the school districts and the county, the technical college all have great growth, and even the city has great growth upon termination of TID 12 in about 10 years. Potentially even sooner. The sooner it goes, potentially the higher mill rate, and then potentially that value number goes up. These are assuming at the very end of TID life, but if we terminate sooner, that mill rate may be a little higher based off of my projections. So, Kim, you got a puzzled look on your face there.
What?
I always look like that when I'm reading numbers. Like they calculate in there.
Yes. All right. TID 13 was created in 2017 primarily around the festival foods, the McDonald's, the Aldi sort of, and the roundabout that was constructed during that time. Not a lot has happened since then. I think the projects that have happened have been the McDonald's remodel, the Aldi's, and the apartments that have north of Aldi's. Now, recently, we talked about last month the 9th Street Development project is part of this TID. So, as Law Department works through the boundary or the development agreement, we'll start to incorporate that one into here as well. But I did include that project into this projection moving forward. We did see some value growth. Currently, our total increment's at about $26 million. That one had a high base value to start because it incorporates a lot of property, but we're about $26 million in growth. But we went from about $4 million worth of growth over the past year, and some of that is primarily related to property appreciation. So the commercial properties increasing in value. What we are showing in increment growth here, previous years, I just took the entire project plan and put it in here. It was really aggressive. I took it out this time and pretty much went with what I knew was potentially available to happen here, which included the 9th Street development and some of the multifamily. So this is, I would say, a pretty accurate picture. What this doesn't anticipate is if the former Montessori school ultimately wants to come into this TID and what that looks like, because that potentially can change the project value here. And so whether or not that one comes in and needs a whole standalone TID by itself, or it comes in here, we'll evaluate that when somebody comes to us with a redevelopment proposal. Overall value growth, you see about upon TID closure about $250,000. All right, any questions on TID 13? All right, TID 15 is an overlay to TID 8, and again, primarily around the Humana campus, but was created for the United Health Group building. That's when it was created in 2020. The value growth in TID 15 is really kind of increased because what we're seeing is not only the single family of the bungalows happening, but also property appreciation rates in some of the other properties around there. So again, the United Health Group was a guaranteed value about 30 million. It's over 40 million now. So again, some great property appreciation that's happened since that time. But we also talked about it a couple meetings, or a couple last council meeting. Phoenix Preserve will be added to this TID. Right now, the project actually straddles the TID boundary. We'll be adding it into the TID at a later point in this year as well to modify that TID boundary. So we have incorporated that into the model here, but we are showing significant growth happening through here. But again, it's all related to the Humana campus and some of the United Health Group campus and some of the Commercial Horizons campus. So do I think this is a lot of growth? Yes. But do I think it's absolutely reasonable? Yes, because we have that developer who's itching to go on this project, and moving this project forward would really significantly impact this TID. So again, this is one that is Southern Bridge related, and so potentially if we can close, I know these numbers are really small, but they're in your packet. I can zoom into any of these if you want, but we may have to close this TID early if it's projected to end early, if we can. And we should, if there's no projects left to be funded. And this could also be a TID 9 donation TID as well. All right. So where do we sit at the end of it? Oh, this one doesn't have my chart.
So the last one you're talking about, that we can capture funds for affordable housing then if we close early, correct?
Any TID that we want to close early, you can still...
Within the last year?
Yeah, you can still terminate and have 1 year of affordable housing.
Not just a donation to TID 9, but it could go. Okay.
Yep, you can do 1 year of affordable. And I would say in this case, TID 11, TID 12, TID 15, we're all going to do that just to capture it. And you could potentially seed fund those TIDs with, or the affordable housing fund with significant values in about 10 years. All right, so in this case, sorry, my chart's not on there, but you're looking at about $560,000 upon TID closure of the levy. All right, that's the west side. And why do I keep them separate? And I kind of waited to talk about this one, is because we have two separate school districts, and therefore we cannot cross. We cannot, for Ghostbusters fans out, we can't cross the streams of.
So who's happier, west side or the DPR Unified?
West side.
We'll get to some of that here in a bit.
It wasn't because of that. It was because of this.
Everything's because of that.
Yeah, it wasn't your happiness meter.
So now we're on the east side. And the reason, again, why I keep them separate is because our joint review boards are separate. We have two separate school districts, which means we can't cross over the boundary without having a multi-jurisdictional TID, which I don't want to do. All right, so 7 is our east downtown. It's now been overlaid significantly with TID 18, which is the orange that you see sort of on the screen here. It's a little hard to see on the screen, but created in 2006 and termination date is 2033. I will say right off the bat, this one's likely going to use all 6 years of extension. We spent significant amount of money on the early parts of this TID, and that was happened. If you see what the year was, 2006, what happened 2 years later, is we just saw 7 to 10 years of just slow growth after that to catch up. And now we're doing better. But in that 7 to 10 years of growth, our assessors didn't increase the downtown values at all for a period of almost 10 or 5 years in there, which really hurt the TID. It's starting to catch up now, but for an overall growth standpoint, we spent money to encourage things to happen, and then the market crashed. So, all right, so here we are with about a $20 or $11 million total increment in this project, and we are growing next year a small amount, but it is growth. Property appreciation is primarily it. So this chart gets a little long. When you see a chart that has gray bars and a darker gray bar, those are my 3-year extensions on there. So it's shown in the legend, but white is the standard, light gray is the standard extension, and then dark gray is a technical college extension. All right, moving forward, this one's projected to end with a deficit, meaning after those 2 years, or those 3 years extensions, we're potential to still end with about a, I think it was $2 million deficit in this case, unless one of our other TIDs can be donated to this one. So our TID 17 or another TID to donate. So again, primarily it's just market realities of when we created the TID and what we did prior to that. So. Upon termination, if things move forward, again, once we terminate the TID, we'll see a levy increase about $100,000. But again, we have a big hurdle to overcome in this one. Questions on TID 7? TID 10, our business park TID, primarily around the Heritage, the Commerce Drive and Enterprise Drive area. We recently amended this TID to include Bellmark and Valley Cabinet, so great growth that's happening there. But this is also a TID that, again, was created in 2012. We're coming out of the market. And then also we anticipated Southern Bridge happening a little sooner. So we expended quite a bit of funds to either acquire property, to reconstruct Enterprise Drive, to reconstruct a lot of streets in there. But then the bridge kept getting kind of pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And so we didn't have a lot of value growth until recently. And then we had to create TID 17 over top of it because there wasn't enough life left in the TID to encapsulate some projects. So moving forward, we are seeing some good growth happening here. We're at about $20 million or $17 million worth of value growth in this one, projecting to move forward with some future value increases as well, primarily because of the Valley Cabinet and because of the Belmark growth. So great growth that's happening there. They've been positive, but we did contribute incentives towards 2 projects in one of those. And so all that growth won't happen in the TID. Some of it will go back to the developer in the form of pay-go incentives. Moving forward, we are in the deficit situation. This TID looked a lot worse several years ago, but because of the amendments that we've done to bring more properties in to help it, looks like it's going to be very close to terminating on time. So we'll see where we're at. This one is as we move forward. We'll just monitor. Okay. Upon closure, about 213,000 of, again, assuming we go all the way to the end. TID 14. This is our Irwin School single-use TID. It's our only single-use TID in the city. I don't think I have to rehash this one. We've talked about this one a lot. This one's really hinged on the future development. Really, our debt is outstanding. We do have one outstanding loan because we were anticipating making a payment to the developer on the second townhome. So we took out debt that is now sitting there. So we have about $213,000 worth of debt, $218,000 that we took out that's just waiting to be paid to a developer, but it's all tied to a future development. So we're just waiting in this one. We are trying, and we are hopefully coming back with something over the next few months. We have people who are interested, but we're also waiting on some more information on the existing building. Okay. Upon termination, again, assuming everything's moved forward, we're actually in a pretty good space if things move forward, some of these projects. And so either through the additional townhomes and the school, I have it modeled as the school stays because that's what our development agreement shows. And until that changes, I'm not going to model it because it's an unknown. So it's modeled as the townhomes and the school that still stays. And upon closure, about $30,000 worth of levy limit increase. TID 16, we terminated, so I'm not going to spend any time on that. TID 17 is our overlay to TID 10, which is primarily around Belmark and what we saw today with Amerilux. So this was, again, it's sort of a smaller TID, but because of Commerce Drive having to be extended and the Southern Bridge kind of getting pushed, we had to create the overlay TID to this one. What this also allowed us to do is create the overlay TID as a mixed-use TID and not as an industrial TID, which TID 10 is, which allowed us to have the photography studio be part of this TID. Had this TID not been there, they could not technically be on that site because the photography studio wouldn't meet the zoning definition for industrial. So, positive. We look at that. So here we are with some good growth. Belmark had some great growth. I will say this TID shows an actual reduction in value because of where Belmark was. Belmark was actually overassessed when they first were assessed by the state. We didn't challenge them challenging their assessment because it was vastly overassessed. And so we've start to see their value come down to where it actually should have been when it was first assessed. So while it looks like we've lost value in the TID, we actually haven't. It was just overassessed. So, however, adding $35 potentially million worth of Amerilux this past year should show some great growth. Now that Amerilux project does incorporate some significant incentives, but as we saw today, I think it's a worthwhile incentives because the majority of their clients are De Pere businesses, which allows them to grow in TID 10. Durr, Bedford, Belmark, all of those, and that's how they sold this project to us. Is it allows our current De Pere businesses to grow without having to warehouse their own stuff, which is good.
Great. Mm-hmm.
All right. So moving forward, TID 17, again, this one I'm showing as a red. It's how aggressive are we on Southern Bridge? That's what it comes down to. So in this case, it's showing red in this point. We back away on the Southern Bridge a little bit because we get more state and federal funding. That number changes. So again, it's a little bit of an unknown at this point. Moving forward, I'm missing my chart on this one too. Sorry about 256,000 at termination. And then the last one is TID 8, which is our brand new TID overlay on the east side, TID 18 overlay on the east side, overlay TID 7. it's so new that if I put any projections to here, it could just be a wash. So I did put everything forward, but you see there's a lot of growth and a lot of expenses, and it's just such an unknown. Our parking ramp is tied to this. We have a lot of infrastructure incentives. This is something Pam and I are going to be watching on a hawk basis. You see a lot of red there, and it comes down to breaking even at the end based off of what I'm showing here. But again, 2 projects could extremely change that. And so while it is here, it's a brand new TID, 27 years, and as we get through the life of the TID, we'll monitor it. So 2 recommendations, and then so here's my summary chart of everything. Is where do I think the strength of the TIDs are in their life?
That's just
by the termination.
Yeah, that was really we needed that. We needed that badly.
So orange represents the. I should have led with that. Orange represents the west side. Blue represents the east side. Oops, I have one more on there. East side TIDs. So there's my strength of TID sort of summary chart where I think we're going to be obviously the west side having a little bit more strength and growth. The east side not being, and a lot of that has to do with
it in orange too.
I know, I do.
Puts it in orange. And why is the other one not red?
because it's our logo colors.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
I brand everything that I do with our logo color.
We gotta change our logo. It's red over there.
Yes.
It's red over there.
Yeah. Well, that's not our logo. That's the alternate.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, as Amy and I know.
Don't get that started on that.
And I'm going to talk a little bit, just one last thing. The reason why you're seeing a lot of east-west sort of differences on that one is really bridge related. I mean, a lot of the development has happened on the west side because it is related to the interchange. We had developable space there. Our east side developable space is south of Rockland Road, and we're not seeing that develop until we get a little bit further along with Southern Bridge. Once that happens, you're going to start to see some changes over on that side. So there is a correlation to the Southern Bridge. And where do the school districts, you said, which side is better in this case? What I will say is the east side TIDs don't have as much of an impact to the schools from a residential growth standpoint. The west side TIDs do. And so you take a look at TID 11 and TID 12, you're adding a lot more students in those TIDs to the school districts than you are the east side TIDs because they aren't mixed use TIDs. And so while they're going to see great growth, the west side is foregoing tax revenue growth at this point, but they are going to see a much greater return on the back end. So while they look better now, they are foregoing those taxes now to get a greater growth in the end. So that was more than 15 minutes. I apologize.
Wait, are you done? No, this is really, really, really important stuff. A lot of information. I don't think we need any action on this.
No.
This was just for. Can we have someone add?
I just want
to see your spreadsheets for next year.
I know.
Like, how are you going to?
Well, I can wait till next year if that's what you're saying.
Especially because it populated with, with everything. No, I just want to commend Dan and his team. A lot of communities that have this number of TIDs and are our size are often hiring out consultants to manage all of their TID work, which is wonderful. Consultants do a great job. We are lucky to have Dan in-house because he's able to keep that laser focus on it, really be strategic about our TIDs and where they're going. And they are such a powerhouse for what we do, but we also have to monitor them very, very closely. So good job to Dan and the team.
Well said. Mm-hmm. Well said.
Yeah.
Everyone all good then? Thank you very much for all this. And I actually remember I told you at League of Wisconsin Municipalities workshop, I went to a TID seminar.
I appreciate it.
Yes. I learned a lot.
You thought you learned something new.
I thought I learned something new, but Dan said that wasn't new. That was just something.
Well, it was learned for you new.
Essence. Oh yeah, that's what it was, huh?
I do teach. I think we didn't do it this past year, but I do work with the chamber, and we do ED 101 and TID 101 for local elected officials. So if you really want to know TIDs when that comes out, probably in 26 again, we'll participate in that. And if you're really bored, there's other Wisconsin basic economic development course that there are some elected officials who do go to that.
I got to admit, though, our council's been around for just a bit, and I think this is probably the well-versed council on TID, at least since I've been around in 2008. So that's a good thing. Yeah, I think that's that's a credit to you as well, too.
Well, low council turnover really makes my job easy. So, and having Alderperson Nelson online here, but having past experience on the council really kind of helps that as well.
Can I put that on my campaign slogan? I know Ted's. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you.
I know, Ted.
Up next, item 15, cash and investments report. Pam is not here, but I'm not sure if Kim wants to say something.
I can just pitch in a little bit for Pam. I don't think you're going to see anything new or out of the ordinary. This is the report that she provides. So if you have any questions, I'll do my best, but otherwise it's information only.
Thank you. Any questions, anybody?
No.
Okay. Up next, future agenda items. Does anyone have anything?
Well, you need to.
Oh, I'll make a motion for item 15, cash and investments report to accept and place on file.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Additional discussion, comments? That said, all those in favor say aye.
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 He's still with us. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, future agenda items. Anyone have anything? All right. I will then make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody.